Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sneha. I'm a freelance makeup artist based in London, and today I'm going to create 3 looks using the new Viseart Violette Étendu, I guess, palette. For the rest of the video, I'm just going to call it the Violette palette. But if you're interested in watching a tutorial for this and 2 more looks using this palette, then please continue watching. This is what the palette looks like. Bring it in closer. Absolutely stunning with this artwork on the outside, and then the other side you have the name of the palette. It is made of cardboard, which is very environmental friendly, and in here you do get a good sized mirror to use, and these are what the eyeshadows look like. It's a very purple themed eyeshadow palette, and against my skin tone you can see the varying depth of the shades. So what I like about the palette is the shade selection. Now, if I were to hide the bottom row, you can see that it can be quite a wearable kind of a palette, even though it's more purple themed. Because they've incorporated so many of the purple themed neutrals, this can be quite a wearable palette, especially if you ignore the last 4 shades. So that's one way I like to use it. And one of the looks I've created is predominantly creating more softer, wearable kind of a look. Secondly, another thing I appreciate is that they've given both cool tone purples as well as more warm tone purples right here. So that gives you quite a bit of variety. So as you'll see this look, which is very cool toned, whereas the other looks you'll see, especially look number 2, which is using more of the warmer purple tones from the palette. Also, you get a variety of textures. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 mattes out of the 12 shades and 4 in the satin shimmer kind of formula. I would say this is quite soft and satin, so is the second shade right here, whereas this one and the shade right here are more shimmery and sparkly. This one is also a duochrome, so although it looks pink and purple, as you can see when I move the thing, or where I've got the eyeshadow damp, you can see that it looks more purple. So that is definitely a beautiful duochrome in the palette. So you get some shades as brow bone highlights, so this one right here, and also this one is what I've used as my brow bone highlighter for all 3 looks. For transition shades, you get a few options. You get these neutral purple tone shades, as well as this one, which is more of a cool tone purple, which is what is my transition today for this look. You do get a nice inner corner highlight shade right there. It looks silver in the pan, but as you'll see in the swatches, it does have a beautiful pink to purple flip to it. And that is also the shade I have as my inner corner highlight today. And you have deepening shades such as this one, this, and this to use through the crease of the eye. Again, with the deeper shades, you can also use them standalone as an eyeliner. They are pigmented beautifully. Now, in terms of the size of the eyeshadows, each pan here is 1.5 grams of product. In comparison, the Spritz palette contains 1 gram of eyeshadow in each pan. So that is the size difference. And then comparing this with the full-sized Viseart palettes, the full size contains 2 grams of product per pan, and here it is 1.5 grams. So that's just something to consider. This is priced, I believe, in the US at around $44, and in the UK you can get varying prices I've seen from £44 all the way down to £30 at the moment. So if you want to grab this, try lovemakeup.com. They currently have this palette priced at £30, and also if you have a pro discount, you'll get further discount on that. If you're a purple lover, I would definitely recommend picking this palette up just because you get so many options with the purples. And I don't really see any dud shades in this, if that makes sense. You get beautiful mattes that blend out seamlessly as with Viseart quality, and you also get amazing shimmer formulas. Let's first have a look at the swatches.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the
Now let's move on to the eye looks I've created with this palette. For all three looks, I'm starting with primed eyelids, and I've used the NARS Eye Primer as my base. The first look is going to be this soft, light purple kind of a look. I'm first going into the shade Embrace, which is the lightest matte from the palette, and using that with a My Kit Go 1.7 brush, I'm going to apply that as my brow bone highlight. Next, with the same brush, I'm going into the second shade from the palette, which is called Blushing. I'm going to apply this to the crease of my eye, so this will act more as a transition shade. Next, I'm going into the shade Fusion and applying that with the Wayne Gauze brush number 16. I'm going to first start applying it to the outer corner of my eye, slowly taking it into the crease, and then also applying the same shade under my bottom lash line. Then with my finger, I went into the shade Viseart and I applied that all over the eyelid. You can stop this look at this stage, but I also wanted to use a couple of different shades. So next I went in with the shade Jezebel on my finger, just applied it to the center and outer portion of the lid. And lastly, for my inner corner, I used the shade Wink, which looks silver in the pan, but has a beautiful purple pink kind of a shift. And I applied that with a small brush by London Brush Company. And lastly, finishing off the look with mascara, I have the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash Mascara on my bottom lashes and the Pat McGrath Fetish Eyes Mascara for my top lashes. For blush, I've used the Viseart Orange Violet palette, and I'm mixing the top two purple blushes from the palette, applying that on my cheeks. And for my lips, I have the MAC Lip Liner in the shade Whirl, and I've just applied that all over. And then just in the center of my lips, I added a little bit of the Pat McGrath matte lipstick in the shade Omi. And that completes look number 1. Very soft and wearable. I am using indoor lighting for this just because it was kind of gloomy, but this is how the makeup also looks in daylight. Moving on to look number 2. I'm starting off with the shade Liaison and I'm applying that with a My Kit Go 1.7 brush, and this is going to act as our brow bone highlight. Next, I'm taking the shade Grenache or Grenache, I'm not sure. I'm taking that on a Wayne Gauze brush number 16 and applying that as my transition shade. Next, on a My Kit Go 3.3 brush, I'm using my favorite shade from the palette, which is a stunning purple shade called Passion. So I'm going to pack that all over my eyelid. And as you can see, this is beautiful pigmentation and it applies amazingly well. And then to blend out the edges of the shade towards my crease, I'm using the My Kit Go Pro 1.14 brush. And then also blending away the edges a little bit more with the Wayne Gauze brush number 16. And then went back in with the flat brush, My Kit Go 3.3, just to intensify the shade on the eyelid. And then lastly, using the same shade on the lower lash line with the My Kit Go Pro 1.14 brush and extending it into an outward cat eye kind of a shape. And then to create intensity around the lash line, I'm using the My Kit Go 3.3 brush with the darkest purple from the palette, which is called Elderberry. I'm taking it almost like an eyeliner from the lower lash line and creating that angled shape. And then also taking it into the crease. And then lastly, with the My Kit Go 3.3 brush, I'm going into the shade Jezebel. I'm showing you how the application is when applied dry. So this is what that looks like. But because I wanted more intensity, I'm going to use it with the mixing medium. For this look, I've used the Mehron mixing medium and using the same brush and applying the shade Jezebel just to the center of the eyelid. And you can see the increase in intensity and color payoff. It has a beautiful blue kind of a shift, so it's a very interesting shade. And then just blending the edges between the matte purple and the Jezebel shade. And finishing off the look with mascara. On my cheeks, I have the Danessa Myricks Vision Flush in Sugar Plum. And as my highlight, I have the MAC highlighter in Soft and Gentle. This is the Mineralized highlighter. And then lastly, for my lips, I have the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in the shade Love Trap. This completes look number 2. I absolutely love this look. But this is how the makeup also looks in daylight. On to look number 3. I'm starting with the My Kitco brush 1.7 and I'm using the shade Liaison, and that's going to be my brow bone highlight. Next, I'm using the Van Gogh's brush number 19 and using the cool toned purple from the palette, which is called Haze. And I'm applying that to the crease of my eye, so that'll act as a transition. Also applying some on the outer V and applying along my lower lash line. Then I'm using the Esam W21 brush and going in with the shade Violette from the palette. And I'm using that damp with the Esam mixing medium. And I'm going to apply that all over my mobile eyelid. And then blending the edges with the Van Gogh's brush number 19 and using the shade Violette Dry. And then lastly, using the shade Wink as my inner corner highlight. And for this, I'm using the Kit Stars brush in S33. And finishing off this look with mascara. On my cheek, I have the Viseart palette. This is the Orange Violet palette. And I have the lightest purple shade as my blush. For my highlighter, I used the Danessa Myricks Illuminating Veil, and it's in the shade Paradise, which is this beautiful lavender, lilac kind of a shift. I think it paired very nicely with this look. And then to contour my face, I used the New Balm Contour by Danessa Myricks, and this is in the shade Medium 2. And lastly, for my lips, I used the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in the shade 902 Versatile Violet. And that completes look number 3. You can pair this with a nudie pink kind of a lip as well, or even a brownie nude lip, but I was digging color for some reason on this day. So we have a bold purple lip. Overall, I'm very happy that I was able to pick up the Violette palette. I love purple, so this is perfect just because it has neutral purples, cool tone purples, and warm tone purples, so that makes this palette very versatile. Again, as with quality of Viseart eyeshadows, the mattes are exceptional and the shimmers are also wonderful, including one duochrome shade. I've created the looks as you've seen using all the shades from the palette, and I didn't have problem blending or applying any particular shade. With the shimmers, I just tend to prefer using the mixing medium just because there is less fallout in general, and also that the shadow goes on more intensely, which is my personal preference. But you could also use it dry, and that looks really wearable, and you can create a much more softer look with those. So again, I don't see any duds with this palette, and I would recommend picking this one, especially if you are a purple lover. So well done, Viseart, Anastasia, and her team for creating this beautifully curated purple palette. Do let me know in the comments which of 3 looks was your favorite and if you are planning to pick this palette up. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up and also consider subscribing for more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!